Well, hello folks, welcome to the second lesson in programming in Golang. Today we are going to write a program that asks the user a few questions and responds to those answers. In this lesson I'm going to be introducing a few new things. One, variables. We're going to talk about them a bit properly. Second, the type int, which is short for integer. And third, the function fmt.Scanf, which we'll use to read in a user response. You might have noticed that I'm not using Notepad today. I'm actually using a program called Notepad++. Did you notice the line numbers down the side? That's going to make programming a lot easier. Actually, the program can do more than that, but it still saves simple text files just like Notepad does. And you can get it from notepad++.org. It's open source and free to download, so you might as well. Anyway, on with the lesson. But first, how did you do with last week's challenge? I'm just going to quickly open up the file from last week. So that was in lessons. No, we're here. That's Golang source lesson 1, and here's the file. So here's what we did. Now, the challenge I gave you was to write a function that said goodbye to someone. So I'm going to write that function here. And then again, we'll take a name and write goodbye to them. So func say goodbye. And then we'll take their name again. And that will be a string again. Open squiggly brace. Now in Notepad, you see, it gives me the second one straight after writing the first, which is handy because actually when you're writing programs, it's very good to know where your beginning and your end is for each line. Function say goodbye. So fmt.Printf. Again, that's a nice thing about Notepad. It's thrown on the second quote for both of these. Goodbye to, and then again it's %s, which says we're putting a string. And we'll put a new line afterwards because that's a handy thing, comma, and then name. So we're going to take the function. And this isn't actually that much different to the last function that we wrote. And now we can say, maybe we'll get rid of these hello worlds because it's not that program anymore. Delete that. And now we'll get rid of this line here as well. Ooh, home. I don't use this program very often actually. Next week I'm going to show you, or next lesson I'll show you the program I use more often. But I can same people probably don't use the program I normally use. We're not doing that, we're saying say goodbye. Say goodbye to Peter, and then we'll say goodbye to Ross. So in theory, when I save this and then run the program, again, I've just opened up, I've gone forward through these. I think last time I forgot to mention that I was pushing tab to go forward. So if I dot out of here a few times, and it's cd, and then if I type the name of the directory I'm going into, I know it's source, so I just push tab and that filled in the rest. \L for lesson 1, and I can tab, and there it is. That's the tab button next to the Q. And if I run go, run, and then it was lesson 1 again, and that was tabbed out as well. So here we see a hello to Peter, hello to Roz, goodbye to Peter, goodbye to Roz. Another nice handy feature is you see you can actually see which bracket is matched with that one. So when you've got your cursor next to a bracket, it tells you what the other one is. So it makes it slightly easier to see that you've got the right number of open brackets and closed brackets, and computer programs like to have those. Now today we're going to do a little thing with some numbers. So I'm going to declare an int var. Var is short for variable. Okay, so write the word var int. No, oh no, I write this name next, so this will be let's work with age. It's a fairly standard thing we can store about someone, and we need to say its type. Int. It's an int. Now currently this doesn't have anything in it, but it probably will default to 0 if we try and read it. So I'll show you that it probably will show it. It might complain that it's never been initialized. Let's see. Let's write fmt.Printf. Notice a capital P and the little f. Printf, and then we'll write age equals, and then it's %d for numbers. This is something you're going to have to get used to, I suppose. There are different things. You can always look it up. There are documentations around online, but I'm just going to write age here, and I'm going to get rid of all of this, just working in the same lesson. Delete those, and then let's see what it tells us, see if it complains. Go, run lesson1.go. Age equals 0. So what's happened? We've declared a variable called age, and it's an int. And when you declare a new variable, it will often be, and that basically just grabbed the space in memory and said, I want to hold this thing. And when it grabbed the space in memory, it seems to have cleared it out and said, okay, there's just a 0 in there now. Normally when you declare a new variable, it's helpful to set it to a value. So maybe I say age equals 4, and then when we do a print age of age, this is just a string, of course. It's only this bit that refers to it, and it does matter the case, right? So it does matter that that's not a capital letter and that's not a capital letter. If I put this one as a capital A, Control A select everything, Control S, and now we run this, Go is going to complain. The same is true with functions. So undefined age, it just doesn't exist. It's on line 20. It's saying, where does line 20 come from? Where does age come from? And the answer is, well, it's a different variable. So if we make sure we get the thing right, Control S, and then we run it again. Age equals 4. Is that what you expected? And hopefully it was. But now we can do things with age. Age equals age plus 2, semicolon. Oh, the semicolons aren't actually needed in Golang. It won't complain about them, but you don't need them. Is that what you expected? If it's not, let's run through just in case and see if you can follow. So when we declared an int, age int equals 4, we then did another thing which says age equals age plus 2. So when you have an equals like this, the first thing it does is it calculates the total result for everything on this side, and then it puts the result into the variable age. So all we're going to do now, so age equals age plus 2, so it was 4, that becomes 4 plus 2 equals 6, and then we take the value 6 and then we throw it into age. And then when we do a print out of what age is, we get the result age equals 6. Now, our greet someone is going to change. We're going to be a little bit rude here, okay? So, our greet someone function is going to ask some questions of people. It's not going to take a name. Oh no, it is going to take a name. But it's going to return something. It's going to return... No, greet someone is going to return things. Golang's got kind of nice actually. It can actually do 2 parameters, 2 results at once. So instead, we're going to ask the question. The question will be, hello, what is your name? Okay, so we greet someone, we go hello, comma, what is your name? Oh, and we need a question mark, quote, and I think what we'll do here is we'll have a new line and then we'll put a greater than sign, and that's how we're going to ask the questions. The new line greater than, you'll see how that looks in a second, and this is going to return a string. Okay. Oh, I don't know what happened there. string, and say goodbye, name string. So our greet someone function now returns a string, which means we can now make a string variable to take that. So we could do var name equals, oh, a name is a string, right? String equals greet someone, open bracket, close bracket. Now this doesn't take any parameters anymore, it just returns something. Actually, we haven't written a return method. So we're going to use the keyword, this is an important word in Golang, return. And then, for now, it's just going to return Dave. We'll get to scanf in a second, but I just want to work with returning Dave right now. So we've done greet someone, and now we're going to do printf, and instead we're going to do in here hello %s, you are %d years old, full stop, new line. And now we're going to use the variable name as our second parameter, and these happen in order. Okay, so the %s will be the name and %d will be the age, and you've got to kind of get the type right. Name is a string, as we've declared here, and age is an int, as we've declared here. Actually, Go can infer the type, but we'll do that later. So we call greet someone, name then gets filled with the result of this function, and the result of this function apparently will always be Dave. So it will print out hello, what's your name, and it doesn't matter what you type, it's going to answer Dave. We'll get to that in a minute. And then it will do a say goodbye, and we'll write name in here in the brackets, because name is a variable. Name can now be sent. So in the same way as we wrote quotes and then someone's actual name, well, name is a string, so we can send that name to here as well, and that will be filled out. And that's how variables work. You store things and you can change what's stored in them. So when we run this program, let's see what we get. Run lesson 1. Something's missing there. Did I not save? Save that. Ah, there we go, it's saved. Okay, so hello, what is your name? Question mark. New line, and then the big thing. And then it says, hello Dave, you are 6 years old. And it got Dave because we returned Dave. It didn't actually ask a question. And then it said goodbye to Dave because Dave was the answer to the question. But we can make that change. Okay, so we're now going to use a function called scanf, and it belongs to the package fmt. So fmt.Scanf. And this we've already prepared things for it. So now we're going to write %s. Again, we're going to receive a string this time. And then we need a new line, so basically everything up to the first new line. Scanf, basically it will take the whole string up to whatever character you finish on here, and then return that, and it will try and squeeze everything into the right things here. The next challenge, of course, we have is a minor problem. We need a variable here, and the variable will be uname, that's the username, and that's a string. Now we're not going to put anything in that variable, but we're going to return uname here. And here we're going to put comma and a very fancy keyword, a key thing, which is and then uname. So, and what on earth does that do? We've got a variable here. Now when you run a function, say this say goodbye function, name just takes the string as it is. And if I was to change that string in here, so maybe I can do that, name equals name plus noggin. I've put a space there as well so we can see. Then it will change in here, and when it prints out, it will add the noggin to their name. But it won't have changed back here. So if I was to say fmt.Printf, and in here %s new line and then name, you'll see that name doesn't change for writing that. But we need it to change. We need to put a value in the same place. So we need to tell the function where in memory uname is kept, so that when it reads in that string, it will say, oh, I need to write to that place in memory, not just anywhere. So this is called a pointer to where in memory the variable uname is stored, so that the scanf function, which is just a function in the library, can know where to write the value to. I'm pretty sure this will actually work, so I'll run it and we'll see if you can understand everything that happens. Here you go, run. Hello, what is your name? Now it's got a dashing thing under here, so I can actually type my answer to this. And if I write my name is Matthew, which it is, and push enter. Hello Matthew, you are 6 years old. That's not actually accurate. Oh, I didn't mean to get rid of that. Hello Matthew, you are 6 years old. Goodbye to Matthew Noggin. My surname isn't Noggin, that got added in the say goodbye function. But if you notice that afterwards the printf name hadn't changed. So this is how we read from the user line. We need a %s and then a place to put the variable, and is saying this is the place where you put it, not just the value. So if I didn't have that and, it would send whatever's in that uname, but it wouldn't say where it is. It's a little bit of a tricky concept to get your head around, which is why I'm taking a bit of time on that, but the more we use it, the more it will make sense. Next lesson, I'm going to be asking you to do some more things with that. Actually, this lesson, I'm going to ask another question of whoever it is, and so I'm going to return as well an int, and that int will be their age. Okay. So I need another variable, which is age, and that's an int. And I will do fmt.Scanf. And now, what do I write inside here? Think about it for a second. It's going to be a %, and then it's going to be a D. Okay, new line. And the reason it's a D is, of course, that we're taking in an int. And just as before, because we need it to go into that place, we need to put the keyword for and then write age, which is the name of the variable where we're going to put it. So and makes that, and there's a comma, of course, in between. That's how we separate these things. And then when we return this, we can put a comma between these and write age here. So, printf, hello, what is your name? Oh, and we need another printf here. Fmt.print, oh, capital P, printf. How old are you? Question mark. Save that. So now that's returning an age. Let's try and run it and see if it complains about anything. It will complain about something. Let's see what the complaint is. Syntax error, unexpected after a comma after top level declaration. So that's line 7. I didn't mean to scroll this. Where's all my text gone? Here it is. So line 7 over here. Let's scroll back to line 7. Func greet someone. Oh yeah. Actually, if you return 2 things, this wants you to put them in brackets so that it knows that this is your returns. Syntax error, non-declaration. Oh, probably, if I run it again, it'll probably not get rid of most of those. Lesson 29, multiple value greet someone in single value context. Let's see if we can understand what that means. So here, greet someone returns 2 things now. It didn't just return 1 thing. It returns 2 things. It returns a string, that's a list of letters, and then a number or an int. And where we actually call the function, we say greet someone, we actually only take 1 result, variable name. Now, we know that greet someone returns a string and then it returns an int. And golang knows that greet someone takes a string and then returns an int. So I don't actually need to, I can actually have it infer that type. So I can say name, comma, age, and the colon says I want you to infer the type of a new variable. So name is the new variable, age is an old variable. But I'm actually going to get rid of this because we don't want it anymore anyway. Okay. So age, name, age, colon equals greet someone. And then if we actually try this, printf hello name, because that's %s, you are, and %d is age, years old, and then it will say goodbye to your name, which will actually stick noggin on, and then it will just print your name again. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the print your name again. And I'll probably get rid of the say goodbye. No, I'll leave the goodbye. But we'll get rid of that noggin because that was just a quick demo. In fact, that's the whole line we want to get rid of. And then we run this. Hello, what is your name? My name is Matt. How old are you? 31. Hello Matt, you are 31 years old. Goodbye to Matt. So that's done what I expected. I clearly forgot to put a new line on the question, how old are you? So we'll put that new line and then a greater than sign to point to the need for that. But we also have variables that we can change. So what if we do, after we print you are this years old, I'll get rid of these lines. We can then ask another question. We can say, we can do age equals age plus 5, and then say fmt.Printf in 5 years you will be and then whatever age now is, and that's a, what do we type? We're sticking it in here. We type a % followed by, and it's a number, so we use D. Years old, new line, and here we put age, which is now the age plus 5. Save that, and we'll run the program. Hello, what is your name? Stoodles. That's sometimes what people call me. How old are you? And I've fixed that, so now it's on the new line. 53. Hello, Stoodles. You are 53 years old. New line. In 5 years, you will be 58 years old. Goodbye to Stoodles. Is that what you expected? Now's time for the challenge. You're going to have to write yourself a new thing. I want you to start from scratch with a func main and create something new. And this you're going to use is you're going to take in 2 variables. you're going to ask them for two numbers. Say pick a number, pick a number. So do a pick a number question mark and then to give you a number. Do another pick a number and have those in two different variables. And then I want you to make another variable, also an int, and that will be the added result of those two different variables. And then I want you to print out the added result of those two different variables. You should be able to do this all in the func main using the scanf and printf functions. I don't want to tell you too much now, but if you give that a go, and then ready for the next lesson where we will actually make a program where we play a little game of the higher lower game. So see you at the next lesson. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already.